Hello, scumbags, and welcome to a very special, small, petite, half-size, if you will, Rebel Scum podcast with me, James. Brock is somewhere in a galaxy far, far away from here, enjoying the news that dropped earlier today. The title for Episode 8, for Star Wars Episode 8, was announced earlier this morning. That title was The Last Jedi. Star Wars The Last Jedi, the next chapter, they say, in the Skywalker saga. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, does that make Rey a Skywalker? Well, yes, no, whatever. I don't think she has anything to do with the title. I think the title is Luke Skywalker. And if you remember a year or so, 2 years ago, Kathleen Kennedy said that the saga films will tell the Skywalker story. And I think they put that in to not confuse you with the Star Wars stories, the spin-off stories, the Rogue Ones, the Han Solos, the Obi-Wans, Boba Fett's, whatever's coming next, we don't know. But they don't want to confuse that, so they're saying the saga. They're staying away from the episode. They're not saying episode, which you can notice in this title, which they didn't in Force Awakens, but people referred to it as Episode 7, as people were referring to The Last Jedi as Episode 8. And again, I think that's a way for them to stay away from the prequels and what people think of those films, which you guys all know. Those watching, thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Please like if you want, subscribe. That'd be great. Share with your friends. That's fantastic. But what is The Last Jedi? Who is The Last Jedi? Is it Luke? Is it Rey? Is it Kylo Ren? Is it Snoke? Or is it perhaps General Leia? We don't know. I mean, Force Awakens would tell us that Luke is the last Jedi. In Return of the Jedi, Yoda tells us that Luke is the last Jedi once Yoda passes away. And we know that Luke did have a new school where he trained future up-and-coming Jedi, Padawans. But we don't really know what happened, except for that a student, Ben Solo, turned on him. We don't know how many were in that school. It might have just been Luke and Ben. If you read Bloodline, Leia always refers to Luke and Ben together. You never get a sense that there's more involved. I mean, I think we perceive it as that because of the way Han Solo speaks of it in Force Awakens, but we have never really been given any information to tell us that it was a larger group. Now, I'm under the assumption that it was, but you should never assume anything, right? So The Last Jedi. So, I mean, Jedi could be plural or singular. It's one of those words. It's Jedi. That's 2 Jedi, 3 Jedi, 10 Jedi, or Luke Skywalker Jedi. Luke is the last Jedi, and Mark Hamill himself did say that the title is very samurai. It is very samurai and minimal. And so I think this movie that we're going to get is going to it's going to feature a lot of Luke. We're going to learn a lot of Luke and what happened in those 30 years, and maybe even learn stuff about Luke that we didn't know in the original trilogy. Things that maybe he discovered when he was alone on Act 2 or Act 2, when he was alone there, or maybe stuff that he learns between Empire and Jedi, because that's an era that we know nothing about. In a couple weeks on the Rebel Scum podcast, we will be discussing the Shadows of the Empire book, which was a rumored title for this, or for Episode 7, I believe was a rumored title. But we got The Force Awakens, and now The Last Jedi, and I think what a lot of people wanted was they wanted the training of Luke and Rey, and I think that with this title is we are going to get that. Luke is the last Jedi. And Disney and LucasFilm, I should say, has really been pushing this gray Jedi, and all these like Ahsoka's like, I'm not a Jedi, I'm no Jedi, and they're really pushing these. So it'll be interesting to see if Rey becomes a Jedi, or maybe Fatty Fan Theories, Andres Garcia is correct, and maybe Rey kills Luke, and that causes Kylo to turn, and then Kylo is the last Jedi, or maybe something happens to Luke and Rey is the last Jedi. But right now, I'm willing to bet that Luke Skywalker is the last Jedi in the galaxy. He is the last one that fully absorbs the Force. The Force is in all of us. Kanan said it enough to Sabine in the latest Rebels episode with the Darksaber. So I think right now Luke is the last Jedi, which begs the question: where is Ezra? Where is Kanan? So Ahsoka's not a Jedi, but is she a Jedi? We don't know. And so I think there's a lot of talk that Ezra could be Snoke, and does this lead down that path? And I personally don't think that the Rebel show is going to connect that much to Fiat film. I mean, Rogue One, you can't argue with me that Rebels enhanced that viewing experience greatly. But there was nothing from Rebels that directly transferred into Rogue One. Jyn isn't Sabine or something like that, you know. So that's how I feel about that. But I'm really excited for this title, you know, and to see. I mean, and this proves that Luke is not. I think anyway that Luke is not going to be a villain, which was very heavily rumored early on in Episode VII. If you remember, there's all this talk about Return of the Jedi was supposed to end with Luke defeating Vader and the Emperor and picking up Vader's helmet and putting it on, and saying, "I am Vader now," which personally, I think I'm in the minority here, and please thumbs up. I don't like that too much. I know people like to see the twists and the turns, and I'm kind of okay with Rey going to the dark side if she has to, because for me, I haven't seen enough Rey for her to be like, no, because it doesn't ruin the story. Where Luke turning to the dark side, for me, ruins Star Wars. It ruins Episode 4, 5, and 6 greatly, because that is about Luke looking at the dark side face to face and turning his back to it and sticking with the light, the good guys, not succumbing to his temptations. And so I think that this really confirms that Luke is going to be a hero, and he's going to train Rey. And you know, the samurai comment by Mark Hamill, Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, good storyline. I don't think they're going to follow it, but you have that, and he's ushering this new era of Jedi who aren't maybe even necessarily Jedi. Maybe there's something else going on, and maybe that's perhaps what the Knights of Ren are. Perhaps the Knights of Ren are even the last Jedi. Maybe they are just Jedi, and they don't fully acknowledge the dark side, but they're like, hey, but maybe they're just not good. We don't know. The last Jedi, though, is, I think, you know, when the prequels came out, there was The Phantom Menace, which was a head scratcher. Then Attack of the Clones, which felt like a 50s B movie. Revenge of the Sith, I think everybody was on board with that title. And then you have The Force Awakens, which I remember when it came out, there was I think a Facebook post or a tweet, much like they did with The Last Jedi here. And I shared it, and a couple friends said, is that real? And this one, I think, well, this one they made it clear right away that it was legit. But also this title, I think, is very satisfying. It lets you know this is about The Last Jedi. This is the story of the Skywalkers, but in turn, the story of the Jedi, and this is the ending of that era and ushering in, I would say, a new one with Rey, Finn, Poe, and all of them. But what will they become? And this is not sounding optimistic that there will be more Jedi. I hope there are. I hope this whole thing ends with Episode 12, 13, and it is a giant war between Jedi and Sith, or Jedi and Knights of Ren, or lightsaber on lightsaber. That would be great. We've never really got too many of that, because the Rule of Two took away from that before, and then of course, you know, the Force died away in between the prequels and the original trilogy, and now it's kind of in this limbo state. More people acknowledge it, obviously, and The Last Jedi. I can't wait to see where this one goes. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let us know what you think of the title. What would you have called Episode 8? And do you think Luke is the last Jedi? Or is it Rey, Finn, Kylo, the Knights of Ren? Who do you think the last Jedi is? Thank you. Subscribe if you haven't. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. But if you didn't and you don't thumbs down, I'm not going to complain about that either. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Means the world to all of us.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.